I begin speaking as I step into this world. I am entering Boss Planet, a metaverse project inside the Cardano ecosystem. What matters here is that this universe is designed around expanding an already established NFT community into a place where we can actually move, explore, and experience digital environments instead of just holding NFTs passively in a wallet. This space lets us live inside that identity. It transforms ownership into access, and that is the core idea that pulls me into it.
Boss Planet feels like the moment where a collection jumps from images to an actual world. Here, owners of Boss Cats and the very scarce BCRC rockets are not just collectors, they are early visitors, chosen users. The first group allowed into the space center of the metaverse. The first time I heard that, it really struck me because being early here means I am walking into something that most people cannot enter yet. There is a privilege attached to this, but there is also a responsibility, a chance to actually help shape how these places evolve. As I navigate, I realize it is not only about access, it is also about how this world wants to feel. The vision is not loud, it is not chaotic, it is structured, carefully designed to feel immersive. I see how they are building things that make the metaverse feel like a destination. Not just an empty map we are all supposed to pretend we enjoy. There is art, atmosphere, and the intention to create something that feels alive. While I am exploring the digital world, there is also another layer to this experience, a mobile game called Boss Moon. It becomes this parallel channel, letting absolutely anyone play inside the same universe. You control a pixel-styled cat-shaped robot, and you enter deathmatch battles. It is fast-paced, it is competitive, and it gives a completely different way to connect with the Boss Planet idea. Even if you do not own NFTs, you can still experience part of the world, and that matters because it shows that this is not just for collectors, it is also for players. As I move through gameplay, what I keep thinking is that this is not simply a visual metaverse. It is an intersection. A place where ownership, identity, and entertainment all come together. Whether I walk through the metaverse as a Vox Cat or battle in Boss Moon, I feel like I am stepping into something that has a clear sense of purpose, and that is what sets the tone for everything that comes next. I begin speaking as I move deeper into Boss Planet. I start thinking about what this project is really trying to accomplish. Its purpose is not only to exist as another metaverse, it is here to evolve what NFT ownership means. For a long time, NFTs have lived inside wallets, silent, sitting still waiting for a use case. Here the vision is to make ownership feel active, to make it something I can step into, something that actually gives me access and participation. The goal feels intentional. Take a community of collectors who already care, and instead of letting that enthusiasm fade, build a world around it. What I see is a shift from collectibles toward experiences. The NFTs become keys, they become identity. They become the ticket that lets me move through a virtual environment that is growing, developing, and gaining personality. It is also clear that this world is designed to serve different audiences. If I am someone who holds Boss Cats or the scarce BCRC rockets, I am part of the earliest group allowed into the Space Center. That exclusivity is not accidental. It is a direct signal. This world is built first for those who have supported the ecosystem, for those who hold these digital items, and it rewards them with entry before anyone else. At the same time, there's a second audience, players, people who just want to experience something fun. Boss Moon becomes that entry door. It is a mobile game where anyone can play without needing to own anything. I can pick up my phone control, a pixel cat robot, and enter a fast-paced deathmatch. That matters because it tells me that Boss Planet is not only a gated world, it has a way to invite new people to introduce them to the idea of this universe before they ever learn about NFTs. When I look at the long term, I see a direction not fully defined, but clearly aligned with expansion. The world begins with a space center, but it feels like step one. Once identity and access are established, the next logical evolution is interaction. Then economy, then community-driven environments. There is no explicit roadmap stated, but the vision feels like a slow, controlled build, allowing the world to gain meaning instead of being rushed into existence. For me personally, the vision becomes clear when I imagine what it feels like over time. My NFT is no longer a picture. It becomes a doorway. My gameplay becomes a way to stay connected. And the metaverse becomes a place I return to because I have presence there. That is what Boss Planet is aiming to create. I begin speaking as I explore what makes Boss Planet stand out. I start with the idea of access, because here NFTs are not meant to sit still. They open doors. The community begins with 9,999 Boss Cats and 1,111 BCRC rockets. and owning one of these gives early entry into the Space Center inside the metaverse. That alone shapes the experience, because I am not entering as a generic user. I am stepping in through something I already own, something that carries identity and scarcity. One of the most striking features is the VoxCat, a one-of-one avatar that lets holders actually appear inside this digital world. Instead of imagining what my NFT would look like moving, I can become it. I can exist in that form. It makes the metaverse feel personal, like I am visiting as myself, or at least the version of myself represented in this universe. Then there is the BCRC rocket, described as one of the most scarce NFT collections in the Cardano space. It is made up of 3 specific components: solid rocket boosters, an external fuel tank, and an orbiter assembling. These is a feature that rewards those who can collect or already own the items, and it gives a sense of structure and rarity behind who can truly take part in this exclusive layer of Boss Planet. Inside the ecosystem, there is also a token designed to act as the fuel for economic interaction. The intention is to allow all trading and exchange within the metaverse to happen through one cryptocurrency, so that the value inside this world is connected to how active and alive the world itself becomes. It is about stability and shielding what happens in this universe from being affected by volatility outside of it. Beyond ownership and economy, Boss Planet connects to a very different kind of experience, a mobile game called Boss Moon. Here I take control of a pixel-styled cat-shaped robot. I move, I shoot, I play in deathmatch battles. I face other players, and I climb a leaderboard. It is fast-paced, retro-competitive. And most importantly, it is accessible to anyone. I do not need to be a collector or a long-term holder. I can simply play, and through that, I get a window into the identity and energy of the Boss Planet universe. As I combine these elements in my mind, I notice something meaningful: exclusive metaverse, access, personal avatars, scarce collectible rockets, an internal token economy, and a mobile game entry point. Together, they make Boss Planet feel like a layered ecosystem, something that adapts to who I am, whether I arrive as a holder, a gamer, or someone discovering this world for the very first time. I begin speaking. When I talk about Boss Planet, one of the most important things to understand is how it connects to the Cardano blockchain, because this is not a world running on vague promises. It is rooted in digital ownership, and everything begins with NFTs. The Boss Cats, the BCRC rockets, and the Vox Cat avatars are all assets that live on Cardano. That means when I enter this metaverse, I am not logging in with a username. I am entering with verifiable ownership, something recorded on chain, and something that cannot be duplicated. This connection to Cardano is what makes access real. If I hold a Boss Cat, that ownership gives me early entry into the Space Center. If I hold a BCRC rocket or its 3 individual parts, that scarcity is not just a concept. It is cryptographically proven on chain. Cardano becomes the spine that ensures identity. Here is not imaginary. It is tracked, confirmed, and authenticated. There is also a native token planned for Boss Planet, and the idea behind it is simple. The world should have its own economy, not one that depends on outside turbulence. The vision is that users inside this metaverse will trade, exchange, and create value using a cryptocurrency tied directly to the life of the world itself. While specific smart contract mechanics are not detailed, the very existence of this token implies Cardano-based contracts powering its movement, its transfer, and its connection to user activity. What stands out to me is that this is not only about visual representation. Cardano technology defines who belongs, who can enter, and what is scarce. It turns assets, avatars, and components into something that is not only displayed but owned. The blockchain is the proof, the system validating every right and privilege I have in this space. As I think through it, I also notice what is not claimed. There is no statement that staking exists, or that governance is included, or that metadata standards are being applied in a specific way. All of that remains unclear, and what I know is only what the world shows: NFTs providing entry, scarcity, identity, and a token intended to function as economic glue for everything inside. So when I step into Boss Planet, what I feel is Cardano not as a background idea, but as infrastructure. It decides what is mine, what I can do, and what this world recognizes as real. Without it, the metaverse would be a simulation. With it, it becomes something that carries weight, a place where value and presence exist. Because the chain says, so I begin speaking. When I think about the value Boss Planet brings, I start with the relationship between ownership and experience. Because here, being a holder is not just symbolic, it changes what I can do.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And before I go, don't forget, if you'd like to receive a very short but value-packed email from me every Tuesday, you can sign up for the Cardano Gaming newsletter. Every Monday, I'll be sharing the latest from the Cardano Gaming ecosystem to help you make better decisions. So if you don't want to miss out, just go to the link on the screen, leave me your email, and very soon, I'll be in your inbox. That's all for today. I hope you have a great week.